All right. Well, hi, everybody. Welcome to the latest episode of New Depths, NESPA's podcast. We're excitedly in our second season here, second year of doing this podcast where we interview people from our membership and around the industry as far as how they got in and tell their stories and try and learn from them what's made them successful and how to take that information so that our members and our listeners can grow themselves and grow their businesses as well. And someone who is well known around the industry, a staple at the Pool and Spa Show, heavily involved with all the pool associations that are out there. Anyone he can find, he joins. His name is Brett Abbott. He's an expert in marketing for the pool industry, for pool companies, builders, service, whatever segment you're in. We talked at the show. He was excited to get on and do this. I've known Brett for a few years now. I'm expecting this to be a fun one. So Brett, why don't you tell everybody a little bit about yourself?
Well, thanks, Dom. Good to see you again. And I got to tell you, with that introduction, I never felt so slutty before. I mean, joining all these different groups, but I guess you're right. I mean, I joined, I don't know if I told you, I joined the Australia group. So I'm pretty active with those folks now, too.
Really? I didn't know.
It's kind of fun because, you know, their seasons are the opposite of ours. So when all the pool builders this summer get too busy to talk to me, then I talk to them down in Australia when they, you know, it's winter. So yeah, it's just that's a lot of fun. So
sounds like a pretty good marketing strategy, Brett.
I think I read it somewhere. I probably picked it up in maybe one of your blog posts.
Yeah.
Speaking of our podcast, you know, and I got to commend you, even the name of this podcast, New Depths. You guys are very creative. I don't know if it was Al or who came up with the name The Edge for your magazine, but that was pretty cool. And that was a long time ago, but it's like, I like it when people take a little extra time, give a little thought, put a little substance to it. You know, that's great in marketing. So New Depths, great name. Did you come up with that, Dom? Or
I did not come up with that.
Maybe
work from Kelly and Al came up with that. Yes.
Good. All right. Well, two thumbs up from Austin, Texas. So,
cheers to that.
Right. Anything else you want to know about me? Like I said, I've been in the industry 15 years exclusively for the swimming pool industry. So, and we're working with people all over the world, but my favorite area, Northeast. I mean, how could it be any better, right? Enjoyed the Pool and Spa Show. That was good to be back and see everybody.
It was
live. That was great stuff. And, I didn't get the final count, but you had a good turnout, right?
We had a great year. I mean, everybody said we exceeded expectations, you know, with everything that the environment was throwing at us. To see that many people in one place, both exhibitors, attendees, educators, all doing their things. It dare I say, felt normal, but in a very, very positive way. Yep. Yeah, and I'm glad you were there, and I'm glad we got a chance to catch up. So, we're going to talk about marketing for the pool industry and some ideas for folks and some key things to take a look at. And this is probably a prime time of year. You know, here in the Northeast, normally or traditionally is a better way to put it, there's been a lull in the winter, a little bit more of a downtime. People would attend classes, maybe take some vacations. And something we're seeing right now is that between demand, some moderate weather, that off season had never really materialized. Everybody's staying pretty busy. And I think that there's another factor to that. And that's as the industry continues to grow and mature and develop in every facet, the companies that make up our membership here in the Northeast are growing and maturing. And this is time to focus on their business. Right. You know? So even if they're still able to dig some holes, maybe they're doing some winter maintenance, lining up customers. This is still the time to be looking at how am I going to plan out my year? How am I going to market my business? And I think one of the interesting things in an environment like this, with consumer demand being as high as it is and seeming like it's going to sustain for a little bit, is how do you use the opportunities in a busy environment to position yourself for long-term success? And marketing and strategy has a lot to do with that.
I agree 100%, which is why in January, I always write an article, which is, based on what I'm seeing, here's my recommendations of what pool builders should be focused on this year. Because again, this is the chance to do something about it. Of course, now we're at the end of February. I mean, some of your guys are already starting to do their, well, I don't know if you're doing openings yet, but you're probably on the edge of scheduling the openings, right? And
Sure.
and you're right. I agree with you. I'm seeing builders that are just continuing to stay open through the winter and shooting a little bit more tenting. People are tenting to do construction, which is all great stuff. I mean, the demand is out there. So anything we can do to help the guys keep producing and keep making money,
Right.
that's good stuff, right?
Yeah, I can't say for sure that they haven't been at the show before, but we had a few exhibitors from tenting companies who may have been there, but they certainly had more of a presence, and you could tell that they're observing that that's the direction this is going in, and talking to builders around the region who are doing it more, maybe who always have, but it's becoming more a part of how this seasonal market is working.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Now you keep talking about marketing and I keep changing the subject. Maybe I should stick with marketing. I'll tell you if this helps you at all. Every year as I've been doing this for like I said, 15 years, writing an annual article about my predictions, there are certain core fundamentals that have stayed the same, but then there's some things that change. So why don't I just hit a couple of the core fundamentals would be that we know, and this is true in any industry, you've got to have a good story. I mean, if you want to do better than the next guy, irrespective of your capabilities, you need to tell your story in a way that's interesting and believable and compelling, right? You say, well, we have the best people. Well, that's not believable. Everybody says that. And it's an empty platitude, right? It's just, it's fake and hollow. We think it sounds great. We'll get the job done right the first time. It's meaningless, right? Who wouldn't say that, right? So every business owner in any industry has got to have a good story to tell of why you're the superior choice. And in fact, look at me. I can say, hey, I'm a marketing consultant like 10,000 other marketing consultants in the world, but I've chosen to work exclusively in this industry. That's my story. I have that unique advantages. That's why I might be a better choice than anybody else out there. I didn't mean for this to be a commercial, but that's an example.
Right.
I don't care what your story is. You just got to have something to tell the world so people go, oh, I get that right. In fact, you know what? I was talking to a guy outside of Rochester this morning, Canandaigua. Anyway, it doesn't matter. It was a weird sounding little city, but he's brand new in this. He'd been in the industry for 20 years. Now he's decided he wants to start building himself because of the demand. So I said, well, you got to have a good story. And in his case, he's kind of young, kind of energetic, family, wife and kids and whatnot. I said, well, you know what? If you're brand new, a lot of people will resonate with that story of the mom and pop, the young folks that are trying to make a go of it, and if you tell a compelling story with interesting evidence to support your capabilities, then, some people go, oh, what, let's give this. They seem like such a nice couple. Let's give them a try. I mean, how often do you see a photograph of a husband and a wife on a website of a pool company or anybody else? When you see that, you're like, oh, wow, they're a little bit more personable than the standoffish corporate face only kind of a website. I'm not saying everyone needs to do that, but for some people, that's the right path to go down. And if I was brand new, I don't have experience to brag about, so I better brag on my charms, or if I had your good looks, well, then I would leverage that. So it all comes down to
people buy from who they want to buy from.
That's
right?
correct. You better give them a reason to choose you. That's right.
Right. And that, whatever that story is, right, that brand's got to kind of run through everything you do. So maybe it starts by fleshing it out on your website and a nice about us page and a good photo. And that's where you kind of create that story of your company. And I think what you're saying isn't make up a story, right? It's look through yourself, look through your business, look through your history, look through your relationships, and say, what's the compelling side of who I am and what I do that people would want to know about, that differentiates me. But then carrying that through to what's on your business card, to how you interact with the customer, to maybe it goes right through to what's on the side of your truck, but like making that story kind of a consistent part of your brand with every customer interaction.
Right. Clearly, you've got a strong marketing background because you nailed it. You're right. That whatever that story is, it should show up everywhere. And sometimes it's 3 seconds long, sometimes it's 30 seconds long, and sometimes it's 30 minutes long. But it's the same story. And I also, like you said, what's your compelling story? What's your compelling part of your story? Because we don't want to tell everybody everything. What's the old? You accentuate the positive and so distance, you don't brag about the negative. So yeah, you're exactly right. Tell that compelling story and make sure it shows up everywhere. What you say, trucks, etc. So that's core. That's step one for every business. You got to have some kind of an interesting story, something to put a hook on, or actually something that other people can grab onto, hold on to, understand, appreciate, that kind of thing. And that's kind of the most fun thing that I do, is interviewing people to try to figure out, okay, what's going to be our hook? What is it that we can talk, what can we say about you that'll help you stand out versus everybody else? Then you mentioned the second place, and the second core marketing requirement that hasn't changed in the last 15 years, and that is websites. You've got to be on a website. We know that anybody thinking about getting a new pool or renovation or even service, they may talk to their neighbors, but even if their neighbor says, yeah, you should use this guy, most people will still go to the internet, go to the website and check it out and see if the website reflects what the neighbor said. And if they don't have a neighbor to talk to, then they're certainly going to go to Google and take a look at your website. So it's such a big decision, especially if we're talking about new pools. There's no way people aren't just going to wake up one morning and, drive around. Oh, I see a billboard. Well, I'll get a pool from them. I'm not saying you shouldn't use billboards. But I'm saying most people, if they see a billboard or a yard sign or a truck or get a referral, they're going to go to the website for more information, because it's a big decision. There's a lot of information they need to absorb. They want to see what you do, what you look like, see your project. So I don't mean to beat it to death, but the bottom line is, if you're serious about the pool industry, being successful in the pool industry, you've got to have a powerful, compelling website. And let me add in powerful, compelling, and easy to navigate. Okay, it's got to be nice and streamlined. If it's hard to find what I'm looking for, that's bad. That's even a slow website makes it harder. So those are some of the things people should check on this time of year before the season gets crazy.
I think it's interesting, so as we add things to this list and kind of tying them, and how they relate, you have a compelling story, which you work into a marketing message and a brand. And then your website you might have other things, right? Like you said, you might have billboards or print ads or social media ads or whatever you might have, but it kind of, that's the funnel point. Right. That's where you have the in-depth information. That's where they can see your portfolio. That's where they can see whatever. And then aligning those pieces to, depending on your company and your story and your size and your scale and what you're good at, to focus that around who's your audience. Right. And what I mean is the entire universe of homeowners in your state is probably not your actual audience, right? I guess they're all potential
target market. Is that what you're saying?
Target market. Thank you for see, that's why you're the professional marketer and I'm just a guy with a microphone. See, you words.
Good looking guy with a microphone.
But doing it, what type of pool are you? What's your average to high end sale, and then who's in the demographic to work there, right? Or it could be, where are you trying to get into, but also but not necessarily everything doesn't have to be a shotgun approach. I think the same way with the story, it's the same thing with the services. Sometimes it's easy, especially if you're in your business, to be like, we do it all.
Right.
Okay. Well, and then list literally every aspect of the entire industry. And maybe you do, but that's a lot sometimes for people to digest. And like you said, it can be harder to navigate.
Actually, what I said was it can make you slutty. Like, you made me sound slightly right. Oh, we do everything. We don't care. No, you're absolutely right. There's a cliche, riches in niches, right? Right. That if you, but just choosing a niche, and actually but you put a stake in the ground and say, this is my target. This is my niche. This is where I specialize. Well,
Right.
you know what? You can still serve the whole world, but your story should surround that niche. And then if they, well, can you also do this? Oh yeah, we can do that too. Okay, so it's just it's smart. It makes it easier on the story. I was going to jump ahead on this whole concept of telling your story, because I think the next item that helps you tell your story. So on that website, photos are important. I'll tell you that if you're selling new pools, then the photographs of your finished work are absolutely vital. Because I don't know if you've ever seen any of my presentations, but I discovered this years ago, and it's remained true forever. When I look at the data on people visiting pool builder websites, you know what page they always go to after they land on the homepage?
Photo gallery.
They always go to the photo gallery. Always, because guess what? They don't want to read about you. They just want to look at the pictures, because they don't know what they're doing. If the photos look good, they say, well, then you must be pretty good. So then they might go to the About Us page and read about you. But you're right. They always go to the photo gallery. So that's vital. If you're in the service industry, meaning if you do pool service or renovation, if you do pool service, then it isn't about your pretty pools, because showing me a pretty clean pool I'm going to take for granted that if you're in the business of cleaning pools, you know how to make a pool clean and sparkling. So don't show me 10 photos of clean pools. Show me your 10 employees who are going to be in my backyard. Are they scary? Are they wearing white Peter t-shirts? Have they got jewelry in their nose? Or are they clean cut, wearing a collared shirt with your logo on it? That make me comfortable, because I'm not worried about the work. I'm worried about the people. They're coming into my backyard. So, and then in between that, you got renovations. And this is cool. The smartest thing to put on that website would be before and after photos. And there's some technology out there that you can get it almost anywhere. You should be able to get a plug-in for WordPress if you have a WordPress site, but it's a slider where you can have the before and after, and there's a little slider so you can slide over. Here's what it looked like before, when you slide over, and it looks like after. If you take a before photo and an after photo from the same place, she's back and like, wow, because guess what? That's what, if I'm looking for a renovation, I want to see, what are you capable of? What kind of garbage went in and what kind of beauty came out? And you clarify, here's a trap that people fall into. They say, well, let me show the whole renovations process. Well, you know what? Nobody really wants to see the sausage being made. All right. I want to see what was the problem and what was the end result. So the before and after is all you need. Now, having said all that, that wasn't my point. So my real point was after you've got good photos on your website, then the next step is video.
Right.
Because and nice short videos, 90 seconds is plenty in most cases, to just kind of that story that we talked about, that whatever your story is, maybe you need a 30-second or a minute or 90 seconds, but just tell us a little bit more evidence. And in fact, you might in your video say the exact same thing that's on your website, but it's being received in a different way. I could read it, but then I see you telling it to me on a video, and I'm watching, seeing the words coming out of your mouth. I'm like, oh, wow, that makes good sense. That sounds familiar because I just read it, but it's okay. I've heard it a different way. So it's really driving it home. And let's be honest, we're at a point now where you really can't ignore video. Everybody expects it. And it's just, it delivers the information so much more quickly and effectively that to have a website without the video just doesn't make sense anymore.
And there's a place for sure for hiring professional videographers or photographers to do staged shoots of your work, but also we all have a professional movie studio in our pockets now, right? I mean, cell phones today have the quality video quality, of professional studio cameras in the 90s, right? That were making Jurassic Park, right? Like we can you don't ever, you can certainly set those things up, and you should, because there's a place for that level of sort of, like I said, staging and organization and quality and editing. But don't forget about that. If you're on the backyard, you're doing a site visit, and hey, the sun's right and they had a party that weekend and everything's kind of out, and take a few photos. Those are website ready. You can use that stuff. That goes on your Facebook page. That doesn't have to be. And I also think, from being a consumer for other things, whether it's, even if you're just looking for a restaurant to go to, sometimes that, hey, I'm the owner of such and such and I'm out here, and you do a quick thing and I just wanted to show you, this just hit me while I was here and I wanted to show you this. Now you're not just sharing content, you're engaging in a different way with your audience and potential audience.
You're showing some personality. So I agree with that, especially with the restaurant. But Dom, I'm going to take a little bit of an exception here. I want to put a point on this, because I don't disagree, but I need to slice that a little bit.
Please do.
We need to do some separation. So on social media, the more friendly and personable and approachable you are, the better, right? So if you say, oh, because if you're going to post something and say something about it, anecdotal, like, just love the sunset over this project we just finished, okay, it's about you enjoying the sunset. That's cool. But what I have a serious problem with, I was trying to hide my cringing, but what I don't want these guys to do with these beautiful iPhones with all this capability, do not walk up to the pool and snap a photo and you get about 3/4 of it and that's good enough, and walk away and give it to me and say, hey, put these on the website. Well, friend, let me tell you something. Those suck. All right. They're fine for social media, but they're not good enough for your website, because the people are being very judgmental when they get to your website. And if you give me 95% of your pool, but you cut off a piece of it, that's an unprofessional photo. And they're not going to say, oh, that's missing 5% of the pool, but they're going to feel something that's like, something doesn't feel quite right here. Okay, so a professional knows how to stage it and or position it so it looks good, because I'll reject those photos because it'll make you look worse than you are. So I'm all for them taking photos, but I want them to do it right. And so I've working with a photographer I've discovered this years ago, because imagine my job. I'm trying to create beautiful websites for pool builders, right? And I'm getting all these stupid, crappy photos. I'm like, you're killing me. So working with a pool builder, one of the photographers, we wrote this 3-page guide on how to take better pool photos. I've taught that class at NESPA in years past. And if anybody wants it, I give it away for free. How to take better pool photos, and with a drone. I'll also talk about, because they make that same mistake. Just because you have a drone doesn't mean you're a great cinematographer. Okay, there's some right ways and wrong ways. All right. So if you want to take your own photos, that's cool. But I suggest you take a look at my guide, and you'll probably see a few things that I hadn't thought of that. Like, bring a ladder. You need to be a little higher up, or bring your drone. Anyway, that's a freebie that anybody can have if they email me. What was it? One other aspect of that about the photos. Oh yes, another little secret that because people were always, do you know a good photographer? And in every different city, I'm like, no, I don't know good photographers in every city in the country. I'm at a loss here. But then I figured it out a couple of years ago. I realized that the real estate industry has a bevy of photographers that are talented. They will come in, they will shoot a home. They do the whole thing in like 45 minutes or an hour and a half, whatever it takes. They get in and they get out. And of course, real estate agents, but they tend to be cheap people, right? They're not going to pay $3,000 for a photo shoot unless it's a $10 million house, right? So for $1 million house, they're going to pay about $300 to have a photographer come in and get all these shots. And guess what? They look really good. These guys do a great job for like $300, $400. And that's a great price, because normally you got to pay $1,000 at least to get a good shots of your swimming pool area. Well, whatever city you're in, just look up real estate photographer and find 2 or 3 in your town, and you get, for $300, you can get some great, you'll get 10, 20, 30 photos showing the whole backyard of everything you did. And You don't have to use them all, but you sort through,
Yeah.
pick the 3 or 4 best ones. That's a good deal. $300 or $400 is hard to beat. A good quality photo. So in other words, don't waste time trying to do it yourself. Just pay $300 and have somebody who knows what they're doing. Let them do it for you. Okay.
Once again, that's great advice, and
Okay.
you're absolutely right. I shot from the hip there, but that's why you're here. That's why you're here. I'm the audience POV. I'm asking the questions. You're giving the answers.
And you'll never make that mistake again, right?
No, I will. I like the real estate photographer idea, though. It's perfect, not just from the price point, but they're used to shooting spaces that people find attractive.
Right.
Right.
Yes, you're right. And they make them more attractive than they actually are. Let's be honest, right?
We've all looked through houses, whether you're buying a house or you're just checking out an open house in your neighborhood, and you look at the photos and you walk into the room and you're like, you're looking at the photo. Yeah. There's a thing about staging and lenses and everything like that. So no, that's great. That's a great opportunity, and probably not a bad networking opportunity through the real estate market.
True. By the way, we touched on social media, so let me elaborate on that too, because my strategy for social. I mean, let me clarify. There's advertising on social media, which has a lot of power, especially with Facebook. There's other places. I don't want to get into that right now. That's a whole nother conversation.
Yeah. Sure.
But I want to talk about the organic side, the non-advertising side of social media. That my recommendation for pool builders a long time ago, and it's still the same today, is if you want to be active on social media, don't post stuff about it's a great day to get a pool here in New England. It's like because nobody goes to social media to listen to a cheesy sales pitch, right? That's like having an insurance sales guy show up at dinner in a neighborhood block party and say, "Oh man, I'm so glad we all got together. I'd like to talk to you guys about life insurance and your life insurance needs." It's like, dude, don't ever invite that guy again, right? So we don't want to do that. We want to be natural and friendly. So what I've been telling pool builders, I said, if you want to get strong and powerful and compelling on Facebook, then every time you're out on a job, take a shot. And this is just like you said, Dom, you just grab your phone, quick shot. I don't care if you cut off the pool or whatever, grab a little shot of what's going on. We're shooting the gunite, we're putting in the steel, we're doing the plumbing, we're installing the coping, whatever we're doing at that particular location. And then just, and either you post it or you send it to someone in the office who can post it for you and add a little comment. And the example I give in my classes is if you just went to the Jones house and you just marked out the pool on the ground, right? It's your first meeting and you're getting ready for excavation. So you mark it out and you take that photo. And whether the Jones are there or not, or in the photo or not, it doesn't matter. You post that photo on Facebook and you tag the homeowner, presuming that you're close enough friends with the homeowner, they're cool with that. You tag them and say, just marked out the Jones, the new pool for the Jones property, planning to excavate on Monday. And you post that. We didn't say, it's going to be a great excavation by ABC Pools. No, none of that, pompous crap. We just post it. And you tag the homeowner in the image, because what happens? The homeowner says, oh, you've been tagged in a photo. And they look, that's my backyard, right? And it's marked out. And so what does the homeowner do? She posts it on her, she shares it and posts it on her page. And then now who sees it? Her 500 rich friends, some of whom live in the neighborhood, some who live elsewhere. And they see it. And then they comment on it and they say, oh my God, you're getting a pool, you bitch, I hate you. I can't believe it. You talked about it forever. Yay, when's the party? Right. That kind of a thing. So then you got all this chatter going on, 100% organic. It's all about you and the pool you're building, and all you did was just posted a simple thing. You go to the Jones, the Johnsons, the Smiths, the Connollys, and you keep, a little photo here, a little photo there, gets all that chatter going. Before you know it, you got 5,000 people talking about you and hearing about you. And all you did was just some simple little Dom Mondi shot without framing it or anything. So there is a place for what you talked about.
Yeah. And that's social media. And you're right. I mean, nowadays with the number of platforms that are out there and ways to engage, that's forget a podcast. That's probably a one-day seminar on its own if you want to do it effectively. Or if you don't have the time to do it yourself, you could always contact a professional pool marketer like Brett Abbott, who would probably help you with that.
I will
process.
definitely guide you. You know, I have this weird thing about social media, though. People have been asking me for 20 years, could you please do our social media? Uh, do our post? And my answer has always been no, I won't do it, because when you do a post and you talk about your company, like you said, you're the owner of the restaurant, you say something nice, it's like, oh man, there's Giorgio, oh yeah, I love Giorgio. It feels real and I feel
Yeah.
connected. When a third party, some guy sitting in the Philippines or some gal in India or something, when they're doing it, or even a guy in Austin, Texas, that's doing it for a guy in New York, you can kind of tell that I'm not really there. There's a little bit of fakeness, a little falseness, and I believe sincerity is too important to fake. So
Yeah.
even though, go ahead.
Well, I think that's a great point, and then we'll move off of social media, because like you said, this is a rabbit hole you could keep going down, and it's its own thing. But I think with the exposure everybody has to, everybody's so out there these days, right? So you've got all that with Facebook, Instagram, we could go down the list, whatever it is. There's still that sniff test for authenticity that feels like it's
Nailed it.
it's we just you don't know, you don't always think it, right? You don't always, it's not like oh, I just watched a video that wasn't it, you just kind of know, you scroll past, you don't that looks like an ad to me, I'm not gonna, you kind of key in on it.
Yeah, it's a sniff test.
Yeah.
Good.
So social media is an important part. It's on the list, but it's also kind of its own thing. But it also relates, again, there's this same theme. Relate your brand, relate your story. If your story is about how credentialed you are, then that's the story you're telling. And when you're on site, you're going to introduce your workers doing a great job. Hey, let's talk to Tony here real quick. He just passed his CST test, by the way. He just got certified in the industry. That's awesome. Tony, what are you working on right here? Right. And like you work that little stuff into where you're going to keep that sort of that theme alive. So one of the other things I saw on your list here is automation.
Yep.
And automation in marketing is probably not utilized enough, because that's where you can really amplify your efforts when you don't have the time to do it, where you can plan ahead and stage. Again, here in the Northeast, hyper seasonal market, we made some comments of the fact how there's no real off season, but believe me, that in no way is going to diminish the busy season.
Yeah.
And it's hard to build a consistent brand and consistent messaging if every 3 months you take the next 3 months off from reinforcing that, because you're just too busy. And I know enough about the industry. I have enough relationships and gotten to know my members pretty well. It is real. It's not like, we all know people who are always too busy in our lives. And it's like, okay. No. There's no time in the margins to work on this stuff. So automation is interesting on this list, because there's a lot you can do to create content and lay out a plan, and then kind of, set it and forget it, or it's not quite that simple. You tell me, you're the expert.
Well, as a matter of fact, set it and forget it is exactly the goal. Now, we can't set and forget the entire company, but there's probably 70, 80, 90% of the communications and activities that can be automated. So the goal should be anything that is mundane and repeatable that can be automated should be automated. And that's kind of a new attitude, right? I mean, 20 years ago, oh yeah, that's a great idea, but it wasn't vitally urgent or important. In today's conditions, with the phone ringing off the hook and the business owner's voicemail is full, you can't even leave them a voice message because they haven't checked their voicemail in 6 months. They said, oh, there's too many calls, I can't handle it. I just gave up. I'm like,
right.
No, don't tell me. but that's the reality, right? Like you said, drinking from a fire hose. So there's certain things there's a lot of different little things that we should be doing to manage their expectations, meaning the expectations of the prospects, and to make them feel like they're in good hands. Because you could spend 90 days not even knowing a certain person exists, and yet they've had 15 or 20 interactions with your company, and they're thinking, man, these guys are the best. And you don't even know they exist, yet they know who you are and whatnot. And I'll give you a few examples. So first thing, when someone goes to the website and they make an inquiry, which is standard stuff, right? There's, I need a new pool and I need it yesterday. Yeah. Good luck, pal. Anyway,
it's the May 15th email. Can I have it done by Memorial Day? Right? Yeah.
Memorial Day. Yeah, it's really important. I'm prepared to pay extra. Yeah, yeah, we can do that. 2023. That's Memorial Day.
Which Memorial Day are we talking about? Right. Sorry, continue. Sorry.
Exactly right. The point though is, so the first thing they should get is an email. Hey, glad you reached out to us. Happy to help you. Let me just set some expectations right now. And you don't have to use these exact words, but literally, we want to set some expectations. You may have noticed there's been overwhelming demand for our services. So we're currently taking 5 to 7 days to get back to inquiries. Don't think we're not interested or that we care about you. Your inquiry is very important, but we are truly backlogged. So you should expect to hear from us in this time frame. And in fact, you'll also be getting an email from us telling a little bit more about how to prepare for the next step. So thanks again for your inquiry, and we'll get back with you soon. So because if you can't reply in the next 24 hours, then and you don't tell them, hey, I'm too busy, you need to expect to hear from me in 3 days, then they're going to get mad and they say, what a jerk. And guess what? Some of my clients are going, oh man, we got another 1-star review because we didn't drop everything and respond to this one phone call because their pump froze in Texas last year, right? Yeah, well, guess what? 1 million pumps froze in Texas last year. You are not that special, and we don't deserve a 1-star review. So you got to manage expectations. I don't mean to beat it to death, but that's step one.
No.
So
yeah, and it's good business across the board, not just from that marketing perspective. If you're in a spot where you can't set a new client appointment for 4 weeks because of what's going on, and you know that, and like no matter what they say, you're not going to be able to do it. There's one way to do that. There's to say, sure, let's set a meeting. Okay, you set it for 2 weeks, knowing you're going to have to move it, and then you work with it, and then by the time you get there, if they haven't called you off, it's a problem. Now you're playing from behind, right? You set that expectation and they say, I need to meet with someone this week, or I can't work on the project. Well, you're not going to be able to deliver that project. And if you know that, now I'm not saying if you just don't want to, but if you genuinely know based on your schedule, your manpower, your everything else, that you can't deliver on their expectations or manage them, then address that up front, and maybe that client isn't for you. And I know that's a hard thing to say sometimes if you need business, but sometimes those clients cost more than you make.
That's true. And on the other side, in many cases, if you're booked out for 4 weeks, chances are pretty good most all of your competitors are in the same boat. You're all booked out 4 weeks. So they say, 4 weeks, I'm not going to wait that long. And they call 3 more people. Oh, 4 weeks, 5 weeks, 5 weeks, 6 weeks. Oh, crap. Okay. So it's not a disaster. I agree with you. Let me kind of go through this relatively briskly. I can go into great detail, but I'll try to stop myself from that. So like I said, you tell them right up front, hey, here's how long it's going to be before we're going to reach out to you. Then when it's time, then they can get another email that says, okay, if you're like some people do a pre-qualification call, but let me tell you how you do this without ever even having a phone call. The first email says, got your request, stand by for another email, because somebody's got to check, make sure they're in territory. Then they get an email that says, all right, if you're interested in setting an appointment with one of our folks, here's a link to click. Nobody's going to make a phone call to set this appointment. You're going to send them they're going to automatically get an email, and they're going to click a link that says, I need a 90-minute on-site consultation, or maybe I need a 20-minute phone consultation to discuss whether or not we're a good fit, whether or not you're worthy of us actually going on site. I wouldn't use those words, but most people are going to have a phone conversation before they send a designer out, right? To make sure it's not a waste of time. So you send an email that says, step one is to have a 20-minute conversation with us to figure out whether we're a good fit for each other. Here's the link, click it. It's connected to a calendar that shows when people are and are not available. And so they cannot double book. They can't cut in front of the line or anything like that. You block out, you only show available times that you want to be available, and it's automatically updated. When a meeting is scheduled, that's blocked out. So, and there's buffers on either side. There's all kinds of great technology goes with it. But so that for the first meeting, then once that conversation occurs, they move to the next stage of the pipeline, which is, okay, now they may be ready for an actual site meeting. So here's the link to schedule your site meeting. And again, we've assigned you to this particular designer. Oh, here's another email. Here's a video. It's what your designer, you want to meet your designer. Here's a 60-second meet your designer thing, right? Oh, here's another email. Listen, here's how to prepare for your meeting. All right, there's 3 things. Be sure you've got photographs of pools you've seen that you like. And we also want, if you've got a plat of your property that shows property lines, right, that's very smart to have. And also make sure that, if there's 2 of you, the husband and wife, we expect the husband and wife to both be there. Okay. And if there's any problem with any of those, let us know and we'll reschedule the meeting. So all that kind of, and if there's someone who's not ready to schedule a meeting, they're just thinking it was just an inquiry, great. We put them into a long-term drip marketing nurture that just continues to send them information about A, how great it is to own a pool, and B, how great it is to get that pool from my company, right? So just gentle, friendly nurturing. And at the bottom of every email it says, oh, and by the way, if and when you're ever ready to have a conversation, just click this link here. Okay, so so nobody chases anybody. They have to it's pull marketing or push marketing. Anyway, the point is they come to you. Once you've had your meeting, then you're going to set a follow-up meeting. There's a point when you have face-to-face meeting, setting the next appointment is probably better handled by the salesperson. I mean, what I teach in my sales training classes is before you leave that face-to-face meeting, the 2 of you should already have on your calendar when the follow-up meeting is going to be. It's not like, all right, I'll call you when the drawing's ready and we'll set a time. No. Set it right then and there. Say, oh, okay, it's going to take me 3 days. I'll be ready by now. How's Wednesday afternoon? You got your calendar handy? Let's get that on the calendar. So, and just a couple of other examples. Once the pool is sold, then, or if you've had a meeting and they haven't decided, well, then go into another long-term drip nurture. In fact, I love this site. It's so easy. If you've presented a proposal and you've seen the pool and you're like, oh my God, they were so expensive, I'm going to wait. But you're going to go into my Chinese water torture drip marketing, where every week I'm going to send you a photograph of another amazing project that we built. Said, hey, I don't know, here's another, didn't know if you might find this interesting. And I would just, because they still want a pool. They just couldn't get over the money side of things. So I'll just keep dripping on them. If they want to unsubscribe, fine. But maybe they'll finally go, I've got to have a pool. And so and they call you and they sign up. And again, nobody lifts a finger. Once they do, sorry, go ahead.
And they want a pool. They're going to look at that. They're going to look at the pictures and they can't afford a pool right now. And they know they can't. But you know what? 6 months later, when they're at the water cooler and someone goes, me and my husband were talking about a pool and we got to find somebody. They may not be getting a pool, but there's only one pool company's name that's going to come in their head.
Exactly right. That's right. Total top of mind awareness, because you're doing what nobody else is doing. Everybody else just gives up on them. And the salesperson should give up on them. Salesperson absolutely should not waste a minute with someone who's not ready to buy. But that's where the marketing should step in and continue to do the heavy lifting until they buy or until they die. Those are the rules, right?
Yeah, I think that's something. You just said something interesting. I'm just going to hang a lamp on it for a second. That separation between sales and marketing, that especially in a small business and small relative to whatever that means for you and how you can divide your manpower for this type of stuff. Sales and marketing, even if it's done by the same person in a smaller business, are not the same process.
Correct. Yes. And if marketing should support sales. The job of marketing is to bring a pre-qualified lead who is ready, willing, and able to buy what you sell. That's the job of marketing. That's the ideal performance of marketing, is to give the salesperson someone who's ready to make a decision now. Then it's up to the salesperson to answer objections and close the deal, right? And then marketing takes over again after the sale. And Thanks for joining the family. Here's what to expect during the construction process. Hey, construction is done. Isn't it great to finally be able to swim? Oh, hey, by the way, we love working with people like you. If you have any friends, I hope you'll let them know about us. And if for any reason you're not happy, boy, please tell us right away. Oh, by the way, sure would be nice to get a 5-star review. Oh, did you know today is the 1-year anniversary when your pool was finished,
Right.
and your pool life started? Oh, did you know today is the 4-year anniversary of when your pool? All this happens automatically. Nobody lifts a finger, but you've remained top of mind awareness for the next 50 years. So automation absolutely should be in place. And I'll tell you, if I may, I don't know how much time we've got left, but because I don't want to run long or be boring or anything like that. But usually with the better automation systems, they're part of a CRM system, client relations management system.
Right.
They usually go, I mean, you can get little ones, standalones, but the better ones like a HubSpot or something, they're going to have all that together. And the CRM, I think, is another vital piece of the equation, because for automation to work well, you really do need the CRM. It needs to be together as one unit. And additionally, when you've got a crazy amount of leads coming in, the most likely thing to happen is stuff's going to fall through the cracks. Right. And that's the job of a CRM, to make sure nothing ever falls through the cracks, because there are no cracks in a CRM. When it comes in, it's an initial opportunity that needs to be qualified, whether or not they're worthy of a meeting. So they're going to go in this bucket, and they're going to sit there in that bucket until you decide what to do with them, right? It's not a yellow sticky on your desk or a note that you left on the dashboard of your truck, right? It's in that bucket. All of them are in that one bucket. So anybody can look at it. The salesperson can look at it. Sales manager can look at it. The owner of the company can look at it. What's with all these things sitting in the bucket? Why aren't you guys following up? We're trying, boss. We're trying. So anyway, nothing gets lost. So that's, and I'll make an honest comment about CRMs. Most salespeople who have never used a CRM are going to resist it. Like, I don't need that. I got my system. See all these yellow stickies on the wall? It works great for me. Yeah, well, guess what? That's how things fall through the cracks. So, but any good salesperson who has moved to a CRM would never go back. Yeah. And can I offer an anecdote about the whole concept of CRMs in this industry? I did a survey.
Do whatever you want to do, Brett.
Because now you're being slutty, so be careful now. Yes, thank you. I did a survey a couple of years ago as I was researching the whole CRM concept, because I was trying to find one that would be easy for the pool builders. I used one for many years called Infusionsoft, and its nickname was Confusionsoft because it was so complicated. And I knew there was no way. I hated it. It was so hard to use, and I would never recommend it to any pool builder. Way too complicated. But then when this Keep thing came out, I'm like, drag and drop simple. You drag it and let it go, and boom, an email and a text, and all these things happen. Drag and drop, and all this stuff happens. All you got to do is drag and drop, drag and drop. That's what a pool builder needs. What was my point about all that?
Well, now, anecdote.
Sorry, say that again.
You were telling an anecdote.
An anecdote. Oh, yes. So I did a survey to find out to what extent what were people currently using. Right. And I talked to 100 different pool builders, and the answers came back. The number one most popular CRM for managing opportunities was a pen and a paper, a little spiral notebook. And number two was nothing. So we don't have anything. We just, and then number three, at 11% of the people were using Jandy Pro Edge. Okay, which is a pretty decent system, but not anyway. The point, no comment about that. The point is 11%, right? And then there was like 22 other ones that people were using. It's like when it comes to pumps. Hey, what pumps do you use? Well, it's either Pentair or Jandy or Hayward for the most part, right? Sure. 90% of the U.S. uses one of those three. So that's a mature market. And on the CRMs, it's like 22 different CRMs. It's like nobody had found a good solution. So it blew me away that the pool, when you're selling something that's, $100,000 and up, and you're not even managing it in a CRM, that just anyone outside of this industry would pull their hair out. They say, you got to be kidding me. You don't have a CRM? Yeah, sorry. We've been busy building pools. We don't have time for CRM. Right. But But it's like, at this point, we've got to evolve to that level of maturity. That's just, again, the salespeople will resist it, but once they get used to it, it actually makes their life much easier. So,
and that kind of pulls back to around where we started this conversation, which was talking about how busy everybody is, but also how mature this industry is becoming, or at least it's mature. It's maturing. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Right. We're freshmen in high schools. We're still a little wild, but we're starting to see the facial hair come in. It's we're getting there. No, but in all seriousness, it is the manufacturers, the distributors, those companies are growing as corporations, and the pool builders, who we're seeing it more and more, are growing and merging and expanding their footprint and professionalizing, and the marketing and sales process of that is integral to that growth and success for it to be sustainable.
Yep, it's a fact. It's been an interesting change, and I've kind of seen that over the last 15 years. Because even, I don't know if I mentioned this, but when I first decided to focus exclusively on this industry as a marketing guy, I was the only guy in the world that I knew of that had done that. And everybody's like, "You only work with pool builders? Wow!" So suddenly I was a big deal because I was the only one. Well, now even that side of the equation has evolved. Well, now there's at least half a dozen different companies that are focusing. They're going, "Oh yeah, we've ignored the pool industry." It's evolving on all fronts. So, which is fun to watch. I'm enjoying it.
Yeah. No, it's an exciting time for sure. It's an exciting time here in NESPA as a trade association to watch the industry grow and change. I'm sure it's exciting from where you sit as a industry consultant, and you have a pretty vast network of pool people you work with and associations you're involved with, and you're seeing it. It is an exciting time to be involved in this industry for sure. And I think everything we just talked about it's like everything else we talk about with education. I am sure if you look at this list of stuff, some people went, check website, check I tell a good story, check I do video. Yeah, I don't have a CRM. Or they have the CRM, but they're missing some of that other stuff to support what driving things into their funnel. Most likely everybody doesn't have everything. And even if they do, they still heard something that you said and went, "Oh, but I could do it that way. I could do it better." And I think that's what we hope. That's what we look for out of any type of education, whether it's a podcast like this, or it's a formal classroom training, or it's an online session. Some people need the soup to nuts, start to finish, like a certification program offers. And some people are looking for those little things. It's always those little things that can make big differences in your business. And I think you laid out a lot of good stuff here.
Yep, glad to help. And of course, everything I talked about, I'm experienced and knowledgeable about, because that's what we've been doing for the last 15 years. So if anyone ever has questions or wants help with any of this stuff, I'm sure there's a way to reach me.
Yeah, 100%. And we'll make sure all your contact information is where it needs to be easily found. And I don't know, you're in Texas. I'm in New Jersey. At the time we're recording this, it's almost lunchtime, and I've been watching this guy make sausage and pepper sandwiches on the video behind you for like an hour now. Really good. Changing my lunch plans from salad to sausage. I don't know. That's good. All right. Well, listen, Brett, this has been great. This is exactly the type of information I was hoping you'd provide. I think people are going to really love it, and I appreciate you making the time to be part of our New Depths podcast here with NESPA.
New Depth, love it, and good to see you and all the folks. Have a good one.
All right, thanks, Brett.